You can get Dragapult by fishing for a Dreepy with a good rod in front of Fortulo's Manor, and level it up to level 60. It's just a really good Pokemon overall, with the only downside being it can only be obtained after getting Surf, which is pretty late into the game. For the moves, we'll be using these 4. Most of these you will be able to get as you level up. But, you can use the Move Tutor in the Battle Colo as well. Then pair it with a Life Orb, which you can buy at the Coliseum Market for 100 BP. When given to a Pokemon, the Life Orb helps increase attack damage by 30%, and in turn, damages the Pokemon a little after each move. But if by chance you aren't able to afford the item, you can try to find an alternative item, like Metronome, to replace it. Just keep in mind that the effectiveness along with the playstyle may differ from what is shown in this video. You can get Ferrothorn by catching a Ferroseed at the Safari Zone and evolving it to level 40. It's good for setting up spikes at the start of a match, since it can tank moves well. As for the moves, this time, we got most of these from the Move Tutor, but some can be learned through leveling up. Also, if you were wondering, the Move Tutor requires 50,000 or some shards to exchange each time, and although that may seem a lot, there's actually some really good money grinding spots which you can use. You can check out my best money grinding spots vid on the channel, or look it up online. Trust me, it won't take long. And lastly, give it some leftovers, which you can get from the house at the Grove of Dreams. You can get Toxapex by fishing for a marine at the Lost Islands using a good rod and evolving it at level 38. This guy is useful for stalling by using Recover, especially during the champion battle. However, it can be vulnerable to super effective moves, so use it wisely. For the moves, most of them can be learned as you level up your marine. Hydro Pump will be important as it is our only water-type move, so be sure to have it. Lastly, give your Toxapex Black Sludge, which can be found in Anthian sewers behind the large sewage pool where the worker is. The Black Sludge basically heals all poison types that hold it, which works to extend Toxapex's use in battle. You can get Arcanine by catching a Growlithe on Route 10 and evolving it using a Firestone. This will be extremely useful during the Steel and Ice-type Elite for trainers due to its typing. For the moves, again, some of these can be learned as you level up, but you can always use the Move Tutor as well. The 4th move, however, is merely open for you to choose any move, since we'll mostly be using the 2 Fire-type moves we have. For this I chose Snarl, which is a TM that you can find at the Safari Zone. Lastly, pair it with a Saucebuck Coffee, which you can get at the coffee shop in Cheshire Town. It boosts Arcanine speed occasionally when held. You can get Volcarona by catching a Larvesta in the Steam Chamber and evolve it at level 59. This will be our main sweeper for the Steel and Ice type Elite 4, due to its setup move Quiver Dance that raises its stats. It's only obtainable after opening the entrance to the Steam Chamber, however, which if you tried opening it before, will know how many steps it requires. For the moves, Quiver Dance can be learned upon evolving. The rest can be learnt as you level up or through Move Tutor. Lastly, give it a Charcoal, which can be found behind the campfire in Brimber City. The Charcoal boosts the holder's Fire-type moves by 20%. You can get Gengar by catching a Ghastly at the old graveyard overnight, then evolving it by trading. Gengar can counter Speedy Sweepers with its moves and can be used as a second line of defense after Dragapult. It's also mostly immune to the Fighting Elite 4. Not to mention that it's pretty easy to get early on into the game. Half of these moves can be learned as you level up. As for Sludge Bomb, it is a TM that can be found in one of the small rooms in Anthian sewers. Then go to the Move Tutor for Icy Wind. Lastly, give it a Jangarite, which will allow it to Mega Evolve. You can buy it at the BP shop for 200 BP. Although it may seem a lot, it's a very worth it addition to have. Let's say you picked Mudkip as your starter. You can use Swampert instead to replace Toxapex. So why do we have replacement Pokemon? It's because Swampert here has a way better matchup to the Elite 4 and Champion due to its water ground typing, and is super effective against annoying Pokemon like Champion Brad's Heatron, for example. So why did we add Toxapex to the team in the first place? Because it still has its uses, which makes it a good Pokemon for the Roria League, and not everyone has Swampert as their starter. We have another one, which is Charizard, and just like Swampert, you can replace Volcarona if you've picked Charmander as your starter. Now let's move on to the actual Elite for battle. Ideally, you'd want to have your whole team over level 90, which will help give you a better advantage in the battles. Aside from that, we have the Pokemon's EV. Now you don't necessarily have to EV train your Pokemon, especially if you're just going through the storyline. But, as you level up your Pokemon, I recommend filling up this EV bar here, and have your EVs spread out each stat, even if it's not properly distributed. This is just to get the most out of each stat without having to waste time EV training your Pokemon. But you could also EV train them if you want, although it's not really needed unless it's for PvP. so when battling the Elite Four, you can mostly just win through type advantages. You can see here that I sent Ferrothorn out first to set up spikes, and thanks to Ferrothorn's tankiness and the leftovers, I was able to wipe the whole team using only Ferrothorn's body press move, a fighting type move which is super effective against steel. Of course, you could also use Volcarona, a fire type. Just set up Quiver Dance 1 to 2 times to raise your special attack, speed, and defense. Then finish them off with the fire type moves. Same goes for the Ice Elite 4 member. We also have Arcanine in case in need of backup. Remember to always heal up in between Elite 4 battles as well, since you won't have a chance to later on. Next up is the Fighting Elite for Trainer. Fighting is weak against Psychic, Flying, and Fairy types. For this we'll be using Dragapult, which has the move Psychic Fangs, which, if we manage to set up Dragapult's Dragon Dance, we'll be able to deal lots of damage and take down multiple of the trainer's Pokémon. But if you remember, we still have the Life Orb on Dragapult, which means it'll take damage with every move it lands. So whenever Dragapult faints, you can switch to Gengar instead, since Gengar is a Ghost type and won't be affected by any fighting type moves. Lastly, for the Elite Four, we have Psychic type. Psychic is weak against Bug, Dark, and Ghost types. But I'd like to note that indeed, the first Pokémon that gets sent out is a normal Psychic type, and being a normal type makes it immune to Ghost type moves. Ideally, you'd want to be using Gengar here, but since its Ghost type moves won't work, use Dark Pulse on NDD instead. Then use Shadow Ball on the rest of the opponent's team. Mega Gengar can then sweep most of the Pokémon here. After healing up one last time, we can finally move on to the champion. You'll want to send out Dragapult first and set up Dragon Dance once. Glimmora is very unlikely to one-shot Dragapult right away, so you're able to just land a Dragon Darts right after and one-shot it. Next is Rotom Wash, and here you're gonna try and set up Dragon Dance once more without having Dragapult faint. Most likely you will get hit by Will-O-Wisp, Hydro Pump, or Volt Switch. Any of these moves shouldn't be enough to take down Dragapult yet, and if you're lucky, they might also miss. Then with the help of the Dragon Dance boosts, you should be able to one-shot Rotom Wash as well, with Dragon Darts. Well, as you see here, Rotom does use Volt Switch and brought Landorus out instead. When this happens, Dragapult will still be fast enough to land a Dragon Darts first on the next turn, taking the Landorus down. It's even better if your Dragapult has the Clear Body ability, which most Dragapults do, since Landorus's Intimidate won't work. But if Rotom does not use Volt Switch on the first turn, then you're able to take it down. Most likely you'll also be able to land the first hit on Landorus the next turn and one-shot it with Dragon Darts. Keep in mind that one of Dragapult's biggest strengths is its speed. Next is Heatran, which is weak against ground, water, and fighting type attacks. At this point, your Dragapult should already be really low in health. Since healing isn't an option, you can opt to land a final Dragon Darts to deal some damage to Heatran before it faints from Life Orb. At this point, I will present you guys with choices based on what team you have. Let's say Dragapult manages to faint before landing a hit on Heatran, meaning it's still at full health. Then you can send out Toxapex and let it Hydro Pump the Heatran, which should bring it down with a few hits. Toxapex can tank hits pretty well, so you should be fine. On the other hand, those who picked Swampert to add to the team have a 4x type advantage against Heatran, which will guarantee to take it down. Next up is Goldengo, which is weak against Ghost types. We will be using Mega Gengar here. Of course, Goldengo being a Ghost type means that Gengar is weak against its moves as well. But Gengar, having Mega evolved and being slightly faster already, gives it a good advantage, allowing us to take Goldengo down. Lastly, we have Mega Salamence. We'll continue to use Gengar here. Salamence is weak against ice moves, to which we can use Icy Wind. With a little bit of health left, we're still able to land one Icy Wind, while Salamence transforms. Then finish Salamence off with a tanky Pokémon.